Hello guys, I wanted to celebrate the 10-year anniversary in my own way by sharing with you guys what League of Legends means to me. You know, I've been playing this game for more than 9 years. You know, ever since, almost since the beginning. I missed the beta. I remember how the game looked like back then, and it's been a crazy journey. You know, my journey started in games when I was very young. I have a mother that plays video games, and I have a brother that plays video games. My father was always very against it. He's like an old school type of strict foreign father type situation thing going on, you know. He was always against games, hated games, said they would ruin my eyes and all this stuff, you know. And I grew up with games, and I fell in love with games. It was just an escape from boring reality where you could become a mighty warrior or whatever. I grew up with Blizzard games. I played Diablo, which was my first game, and it's not the best game to start with. I played Warcraft 1, Warcraft 2 with my brother, and eventually we played Warcraft 3. We were competing, we were playing 2v2 together, and I was playing 1v1, and competing really got me going, you know. I really loved competing. Played all the Warcraft at a decent level, Arena of course, not PvE, and competing was always, you know, my main drive. I loved competing, and I also loved games. It was such an escape for me, and I always wanted to work with games. And at the time, so like 12 or something, at the time, you know, I knew there were some pro players, you know, there's like mysteries like, oh, Heaton is getting paid to be a player. I was like, oh, that's not gonna happen to me. That's like the chances of being, you know, super famous like Justin Bieber or some shit, you know. It's like the odds are non-existent. And I didn't really believe in the idea of being a pro player at the time. It just didn't exist. So naturally the progression was that I should create games. You know, that's how I get in touch with games. This is how I, you know, envisioned myself working with what I love the most. And you know, games always meant a lot to me because it was my connection with my mother, connection with my brother, and it was also my escape. Because growing up, I was always like the foreigner, the guy who was the target, you know, the guy who was bullied a lot of times. And I was never confident, you know, I was never ever confident. I had zero confidence. My mother was always telling me that I'm very handsome, you know, that helped a lot. But I was never ever confident growing up. And when you are surrounded by the same people, you know, I lived in a very small town, always, everyone knew everyone, you know, and you don't get an opportunity to really change. Or it's very difficult because you have to convince a lot of people. But when people see you in a specific light, it's hard to change that. It's always the old guy out who plays too much computer games, and the guy who was the target of a lot of bullying. So I didn't have confidence, and I always found joy in playing games. And I was always playing games or spending time alone, because this is where I could find peace. Because I was, you know, my father was very strict and hated I played games and wanted me to come work in his businesses and stay busy. So my father got really angry at things, and I was always kind of living in constant fear somehow, you know. When I was playing games or being by myself, it was the time I found peace. And I grew up in a family where you don't really share your emotions, you don't complain, you don't do anything. So it's something that I still don't do, you know. So this is very new to me. And I learned how to find peace by myself. And eventually, when you play online games, you get to meet all of these different people. You know, you get to meet these different people that don't know you at all, you know, and you get to become a completely different person. You know, it's an opportunity to be the person you want to be because they don't know you, and you can be the person you want to be. That's such a fundamental thing because you want people to view you in a specific light, right? And I think this is important to anyone. Some people want to be kind. Some people want to come across as rich and arrogant. Some people want to come off as wise. You know, there's something that you want to portray outwards, right? There's a message in what you're doing. There's a mark you want to leave, a memory you want to leave, a very specific memory, you know? And sometimes it's difficult to control that when something has been set in motion already, which was my case. I had a very hard time finding that confidence in the real world. So my escape was always playing online. I remember playing World of Warcraft. We had like a 3v3 arena group. I was playing with 2 Russians that had very poor English. And I was playing with them a lot. And they had no idea about me, but I felt confident within this group. And that was important to me. I didn't realize at the time, but that was important to me. And then League of Legends came along. Like a couple of friends that I still talk to this day and hold dearest to me, Eddie and Freddy. They are twins, and their names are indeed Eddie and Freddy. They showed League of Legends to me, and still to this day we hang out and play multiple games because this was our trend. We had like our LAN parties, you know, and this was also super cool. They showed me League of Legends, and I told you before that I'm very competitive. So they are the type of guys that like to screw around. They like to play a game, and they like to, you know, they like to kill steal. They like to ruin your lane. They like to bully you. They like to play blitzcrank and just screw with people. You know, they're the type of guys that like to have fun, you know. And I was very serious. You know, I got to level 30. I started playing ranked. I wanted to get good, you know. And I remember back in season 1, I was playing ranked, and instantly I wanted to make a team. I wanted to connect with people where I could reinvent myself, because even my closest friends saw me in a very specific light. You know, they saw me for that awkward person that, you know, if the group got larger, I was always the guy who was targeted. You know, always in a group, there's always a guy who gets targeted by all the meanness and so forth, because kids can be very cruel. And even my closest friends saw me in specific lights, and when I got to play with this group of people, I got to be the person I wanted to be, you know? Confident guy that could lead the team. And I remember making my first team, playing in Go for Lols, playing in tournaments, and facing the best of the best. You know, all of a sudden Fnatic's in the scene, SK Gaming is in the scene. I see these streamers. I was like, streaming, wow. People making money through streaming. All of a sudden that opens up a whole new world for being a pro player, because streaming was such a big thing. And I was like, wow, it sparks my imagination. I start to believe in this idea that maybe I can work with League of Legends and be a player. I was like, okay, I don't need to make games. I could just play games. I was like, what the hell? This actually works. So I got my imagination going. I was like, I'm gonna find a way to get a salary. I'm gonna get good at this game. I just need to work. I had a lot of obstacles, you know, that I don't want to get into too much. But I mentioned before, my father was against it, and I had to work. I had to have very good grades at school, otherwise I would have no internet, you know. I had to have good grades at school. I remember many times, you know, I was doing this thing because we got laptops from school, and I used it to play League. And the way I would avoid my father was he expected me to be at bed at like 11 on a school day, or 10. And I was putting the laptop on my thighs, and I was playing like this in bed. Because the moment I heard my father's footsteps, he's a pretty beefy guy, you know, so I could hear his footsteps. I was always scared of my father, as I mentioned before. I would always like close the laptop screen and I would lay like this, you know. I was laying and playing. That was how I was grinding the ladder. And I got pretty high on the ladder playing League like this. I had the PC on my thigh and I was playing 30 FPS. It was a shitty laptop, you know. It was a school laptop and it was a disaster. But this was the way I made it work because I really wanted this. I really wanted this. So I was working with my father, doing my school shit, and I was also trying to get good at the game. That was the dream, you know. And my mother supported me, and my brother supported me. He was busy with his own stuff, of course. But my father is a very strict guy, you know, traditional guy. Like he has like a mind that is like 300 years old, you know, like from 300 years ago. And eventually, I got my first paycheck. It was like the first tournament. I was also boosting people at the time just to legitimize it, because I was always saying to my father, hey, look, I'm getting something out of this, just to make him understand, you know, just to make him understand. And then eventually, you know, I had this dream of making it big in a team, and leaving home, and just living that esports life that at the time was like just a pipe dream, you know. And I was always dreaming of League of Legends becoming as big as like a traditional sport. This was always like in the back of my mind. And somehow this image of how big League could be always drove me forward. And I remember in season 2, there was like a group of managers that knew everything that was going on in Riot. And they were telling me, oh, there's this league coming up. There's a league. There's going to be a qualifier, and there's going to be a league where everyone in the league is going to have a salary. And I was like, what? I tried streaming, you know, and I got like 3 people watching me, you know, and it just didn't work. It didn't really give me anything. I kept streaming because it was fun, but own.tv was not working out for me, you know. And it was crazy because when this league was announced, I was like, okay, this is my way in. This is my way in. And I made many different teams. This was the Team Solo Mebdi times. We made Team Solo Mebdi. We got banned. We got in trouble. And it's funny because the founders of Riot Games were right in the 10th anniversary movie. They were the ones that called me up and said that we're not going to participate at this tournament. You know, that was in Poland. I was at the airport when I got this call. But I would never let go. You know, right after I made a new team, or I joined Dragonborns, and we failed to requalify because we lost to Michu Makers. And then after Dragonborns, I made another team. Just a long list of teams because I wanted to keep in it. And then afterwards, I couldn't find a team. I started casting in Swedish because I wanted to be a part of the league scene at any cost. I wanted to make sure I'm a part of it always, 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 you know, no matter what. And this work hard ethic, I learned it from the situation I was in. I learned it from my strict father. I was very scared of my father because he didn't accept anything else but, you know, you working your absolute best, you know, his way, you know. So this, while it was stressful at the time, I'm happy that I went through this because it has taught me how what hard work is. And I continued, I casted, and I'm happy I got to cast because it gave me a lot of time in front of a camera, and it allowed me to be away from home because that is where it was the hardest for me to practice League. And I got to be away from home when I casted, and I got to play in an environment where I was allowed to be stress-free. So that helped a lot, you know. And at the root of all of this, I was always chasing this identity of myself. You know, I said before that I wasn't confident. Like, honestly, speaking in front of school, you know, when you had to do your projects, like, oh, World War II, Operation Barbarossa, and you just like hide behind your papers and you get graded. This was my biggest nightmare, you know. I hated this. I had zero confidence. Honestly, zero confidence. And it was terrible. I just wanted to go home. I wanted to get to League. So when I got any opportunity to escape and really go into this world of just focusing on a game and becoming this person that I wanted to be, it was just an amazing feeling, you know? And League always made it easy for me to dream big. Because after casting, all of a sudden coaching is announced, and that was my way in. I was like, okay, I'm gonna coach, I'm gonna be at a gaming house, I'm gonna play League whenever we don't scrim, and I'm gonna become good, and I'm gonna become a pro player. And my father taught me never to half-ass anything, you know, because I don't want to come in and coach and just be loose with it just because I have different ambitions. So I put my heart into it. I read about coaching because I had this very bad experience with coaches in my previous teams. So I wanted to just not make sure that I respect the role. And you know, Meet Your Makers was my first coaching gig, and I was motivated to go into coaching because of Mr. Alice, Mithi, and Nuktak. So I went to them because I honestly didn't even consider it before that. I was kind of bitter. I wanted to be a pro player, but I saw this as a way in. And even though the Meet Your Makers experience was not the best one for those the people that remember, I still was very, very motivated to continue working as a coach because I recognized the role is what you make of it. You know, the role of a coach can be everything and also nothing. And if you view yourself in a light where you can affect anything, then it becomes much easier to become better as a coach. So I saw it, how can I improve any aspect of any player with interactions, with every interaction I have with every human being. I interact with the players so much, so much. So it is every interaction that I have with the player is an opportunity to improve on them and improve on myself. So as long as you see your projects as something that you are fully responsible for, you can all of a sudden think of ways how you can improve and affect anything. And this was the main motivator, and still my main motivator for why I love coaching, is because it is what you make of it, you know? I remember at the time coaching was a big joke, and now we have better coaches in the scene, and it's fun to have good competition when it comes to coaching. It is now a more and more respected role, and I'm happy to be a part of the OG squad that started coaching back in season 5. And another thing that is so rewarding when it comes to coaching is when you see like a person's potential being fulfilled, you know? It's like, you know what a person is capable of, and they really push themselves in that direction that just unleashes them completely, you know? And that is the case for players that I'm working with or players that I used to work with, and that is a long list. Like even now at the World Championship, seeing Mickey and Wunder and Jankos and Kobe doing crazy stuff is amazing, you know? It's so fun, and I'm so unbelievably proud of them, you know? And it's weird that now I'm in a position where I'm coaching, and I could have never seen it, you know? I could have never seen it in a lifetime. I just wanted to create games. My dream was to create games, and I wanted to work with games because it was my escape. And League of Legends, moving to Germany, allowed me to reinvent myself completely. I could become the person that I want to be. I could liberate myself from any of the chains that I maybe put on myself through my experiences as a child within League of Legends. When I moved to Germany, you know, you watch series, you know, I watch series and watch movies, and you see all these cool characters. You want to kind of be like them. You want to, for example, you watch Vikings, you're like, yeah, I want to be Ragnar Lothbrok. Or you watch The Sopranos, you want to be Tony Soprano, you want to be Tony Montana. You have all these ideas of what you think is like an image that you want to portray. And I'm not saying I want to do any crazy things, but it's about the demeanor and the respect and the ability to, you know, connect with people. So I found my confidence in this opportunity to reinvent myself, and I owe it to League of Legends. I owe League of Legends, you know, League of Legends always made it very easy for me to dream. Always very easy to dream, because I was a kid that just loved games, and League of Legends made it easy for me to imagine a path where I can live my life and become the person that I want to be. And I owe that to Riot Games. The growth of League, the improvement of League, coming with the League system, trying so many bold things, the coaching, it's weird how when you commit yourself to something that you love and how you end up completely somewhere else than you imagine, because I thought I was going to create games. That was my dream, but I just chased something, loved my hobby, dreamed within my hobby, and then League of Legends made it so easy to dream. Because after I imagined the League, when the League came, and I was like, oh my goodness, this was always in my dreams. It was always something that I wanted to imagine, a paid salary, a future, something that's going to be so massive, and it's just continued to grow and grow and grow. And now the 10-year anniversary video, I just saw it, and a lot of the games, like the fighting game or the card game or the shooter game, these are things that have crossed and passed my imagination. I'm not saying I'm a creative person, but seeing that potential within esports, it's always been easy to dream with League of Legends. And I got to reinvent myself, a kid that was not confident at all. I got to dream. My path was carved out in a very fortunate way. I'm unbelievably fortunate. And I am so grateful. I even met the love of my life through League of Legends. So some of you might know Tifa. She's the Besiktas mid laner. Elena, I met her in a League of Legends game. Like, we played solo queue together, and we started talking, and it has never stopped. We live together now. We have 2 cats, Cookie and Muffin, that sometimes you hear meowing in my videos. We live together now in Berlin, and my life is where I want it to be. And I say it to all of you, that might feel confused or alone or terrified, or that you lack confidence. It's just, if you, as cliche as it might sound, following your dreams really sometimes works, and the path is never going to look like as you expect it to be, because I thought I was going to try to become a game developer, and now I'm coaching and I love what I'm doing. It's just about putting yourself out there and chasing what you want, and then taking the opportunities you get, and then maybe you fall in love with something. And I've been very lucky that at the age of 23, this has happened to me. And I had an opportunity to reinvent myself and cut all that bullshit away from growing up. And for anyone that's struggling, it's possible. It's definitely possible. And even now, I'm not gonna say that I'm constantly happy and smiling, because that's not what life is about. I feel like, for me personally, life is about knowing that you're on a path towards what you want to be. And you're never going to be perfect. Life is never going to be perfect. Misery is inevitable. And it's just about how we deal with it. And I think chasing your dreams is a big part of what people like to call happiness. I don't think it's about, smiling all the time, whatever. I really don't think it's about that. It's about being content with where you're going. And I think most of the time, people that are unhappy are the people that are stuck. And Some people are not capable or allowed to chase their dreams, and I think that's horrible, you know. Not everyone can chase their dreams, but I've been incredibly fortunate that I've been allowed to with League of Legends. And I owe it to Riot Games, I owe it to all the fans, I owe it to my fans, I owe it to gaming. I am fortunate as well that my mother plays video games, that my brother plays video games, that I was on this path this entire way to lead me up until this moment. And now Riot Games is 10 years, and I don't know what the future will bring. Maybe I don't coach, maybe I become a caster, maybe I become a pro in Runeterra, who knows? I honestly don't know. And that opportunity to dream and having possibilities is what's so amazing about Riot Games and esports in general. So to summarize, I owe my life to this game, because I can't remember what my life was before League, or I can barely remember how it is to not feel good about myself, or not feel like that confident. I can't remember how it feels to be that kid that was bullied at one point, or the kid that was so terrified of speaking in front of people. I just can't remember. And I'm content. Oh, 10 years. And I know many years are gonna come more. It's the same way now as before when I was dreaming big. I'm dreaming even bigger now. I'm dreaming even bigger now. Like, I know that the future is very bright for esports, and I'm proud to be just a brick in the esports wall, you know? So I hope if I inspire at least one person out there to chase their dream, I'm happy. That will make me very happy. And whatever your circumstances are, there's, you know, there were times where I thought it's not possible. There were times where I felt depressed. There were times where I felt horrible. And, you know, just gotta keep pushing, you know? Just gotta keep pushing. 10-year anniversary. Jesus. You know, all these new games are giving me anxiety, because I'm the type of person that I don't like being bad at games. So I refrain from trying things like Apex Legends or whatever. But now, when League of Legends are going to release these games, you know, there's going to be a hot topic. You know, you have to be good at these games. Otherwise, you're just a washed up clown, right? So I'm going to have a lot of stress becoming good at these games. Or even if I can't, maybe this is what I have to accept. My esports age is getting old. But to end it off, once again, thank you, Riot Games. Thank you, all the fans. Thank you, the whole esports community, because I'm so unbelievably grateful and fortunate that this is the way things turned out. I'm super happy. So, good night.